tilts them down a little bit so it's nice and up, maybe the other way. There we go. Yeah, this thing can be a little.
I think we're good.
Wait a second.
Careful, because Ryan tends to break stuff.
Yeah, right.
All right. So evaluation process. If we can actually try to create a process and a system for our evaluations, you can actually become more efficient. So, I think for me is of course we want to make it tailored to our patients, but if we can actually have a system that we go through, it can actually lead you to a sale. And so number one is, and David and I do this a lot the exact same way. It's number one is we're going to sit down. If you bring in a table to their home, you're not even using that for the first 30 to 45 minutes, right? You're going to sit down, talk with them, and talk with them in a comfortable spot. So Ryan, just like we talked about not too long ago when I was sitting right next to you, comfortable spot, sitting next to you, actually looking at them in the eyes and having a conversation with them for the first 30 to 45 minutes. And again, this is the way that I do it. So like I just think you guys should think about making your own process for an evaluation, because it's really helped me to like lead to a sale. I can now walk into a patient's home and I know that because I have the process in place, I'm looking for the right things. As long as they're the right client for my practice, 99% of the time it's going to lead to a sale. And so we're sitting down, and what are we looking for? What's the one thing you're looking for in these 30 to 45 minutes?
Fears,
What?
goals,
Yeah.
aspirations,
What they love.
dreams.
Yep. The emotional aspect of why you're seeing them. Yeah, those fears. You're looking for the emotional aspect of why you're seeing them. And then number two, after we've already talked to them for 30 to 45 minutes, then, and you've poked and prodded and you've really tried to open up to them and help them to be vulnerable, then number two is actually evaluation process. That's when you can break out your table. And for me, I use SFMA and some different things like that, so it takes, that shouldn't take longer than 10 to 15 minutes in most cases. 10 to 15 minutes to actually do the hands-on evaluation process. Then number three, that's when we're gonna sit down again. Now what I like to do is, hey, I've got some things that I wanna show you. Let's actually maybe head to the kitchen, and can we just sit down at your kitchen table? We're gonna sit down and then we're gonna talk about the 3 phases and how it'll apply to them and what their plan of care is gonna look like and what their entire journey with me is going to look like. Number 4 is we'll set goals based on that. So I sit down and go through that entire plan of care, the phases that we're gonna go through, then we set goals. So based on hearing that, Ryan, what are some goals that we want that we want to accomplish together? We go through those goals and we start setting the stage for what we're going to do together. Number 5, I have 5 questions that I ask them. And honestly, I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. But it's basically from 1 to 5, 1 to 10 each question. It's how do you feel in regards to your health and fitness right now as we sit here, from 0 to 10. Next question is, how do you feel in regards to making a change in your health and fitness from 0 to 10? How ready are you to make a commitment to a new plan of care from 0 to 10? And I'm missing one, but the last one is, how excited are you to make this change in your life from 0 to 10? And so it gets them excited about what we're doing. And it makes them realize, yeah, this is good. I'm gonna dedicate myself to a new plan of care. This guy's already laid it all down on the line for me. And now the last question, are you excited to make this change? Then I kind of let them know I only work with people that answer from 8 to 10 on that scale, on those 5 questions. And you know, the funny thing is, if they need help and they truly believe they need help, then they will answer 8 to 10 on those questions. But one thing that I've learned, and a good thing to write down, is you cannot help anybody that doesn't truly feel like they need help. If they are not at a point in their life where they feel like they need help, then there's nothing you're gonna be able to say that's gonna be able to help them. And so the girl that you were just talking about, Brian, you know, she may not be ready for actual help from you yet. Maybe she's ready for help from another person, but she's not ready for help from you yet. So I tell them, but you did. You answered all 5 questions from 8 to 10, so that actually makes you a great fit for my practice. And so this is what it's going to look like moving forward. And then number 6 is going for the ask. And so number 6 is what I was talking about, is when I'll pull up the chair. And again, I'll say, Ryan, look, this is what we went through. This is what your plan of care looks like. These are the goals that we set. This is the amount of time that it's going to take to get there. That's a total of 15 visits. I charge $175 per visit. It's going to be X amount. Are you ready to move forward with that? So creating a system that looks the same almost every time, no matter what patient walks in, no matter what patient that you're seeing in your home, going through the exact same process with every single patient, because processes can lead to the same result for a lot of clients, right? Having an actual process can actually help you to lead to a sale, because you're going through the same processes and you're leading a patient to understand what we're actually going to do in the long term, what we're actually going to do in this entire plan of care. And it paints, these 3, 4, and 5, all 3 of those basically paint a picture for what we're going to be doing in the future. And so over half of the evaluation is painting a picture for what we're going to do while we're working together. And it doesn't matter if it's high-level athletes, doesn't matter if it's women with lymphedema, you still can paint a picture for, well, especially with women with lymphedema. Can you imagine painting a picture for them with how their life is going to be changed whenever they have that rid of their life and they have the power of taking care of it themselves, and having you to help them along in that process? That's huge. So again, these are the 6 ways that I go through an evaluation, but I definitely challenge everybody, you know, here and you guys on there too. I don't even know if there's anybody watching, but to basically figure out a system in your evaluation that can lead to them actually buying into your plan of care. Because remember, if we have an obligation, if we truly believe we can help them, we have an obligation to have them buy into our plan of care. And you should be so convinced that you're the best person for them that if you do not do a sale with them, you are doing them a massive disservice. If you can get to that level where you know they need me so bad here, and I need them to buy into me because I know I can help them. If you can reach that level of kind of intensity that, like, I know I'm the provider for them, I just need to get them to go in. I need to get them to commit, because I'm doing them a massive disservice if they don't commit on this, no matter what the price is, right? If you can get to that level, you're going to have a lot more people saying yes to your plans of care, no matter what the price. $175, $125. I used to charge $75 a visit when I first started. It doesn't matter the price. It wasn't until I started to create a process that I started to see changes in how people responded to me after a plan of care, or after how I did my evaluation process. You know, it's funny. After I created this, like, I started to see people, that number 6, actually excited to pay me. Whereas before I had a process, people would give me all kinds of reasons why they couldn't go forward, right? But then having a process, now people were getting to number 6 and they were actually excited to move forward, which is a big, big difference, right? And there was no longer, I've got to talk to my spouse, or I've got to do this. It's just like, no, this is the right thing for me. When can we start, kind of thing. So, yeah. So I guess the question would be, like, what are some things that you guys think you can put into place to create a process for yourself in your evaluation?
So for me, it's going to be very similar. I'm not sure if I'm going to need to modify the time frames or not, but it just depends. Starting with an hour, so very similar process. Sitting down, talking to them. I might need to buffer that evaluation process a little bit, do a little bit more. They might want to be doing a little bit more feel like they're doing something, so to speak. But the rest of it stays pretty similar. So
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for your type of people, they're gonna wanna move probably more than 10 to 15 minutes, but
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I have some ideas regarding that. Obviously, first looking at the evaluation process, but again, my value add on the front end, I said earlier, was more so from the follow up, from the interest in the wellness, and you're doing something similar as well. But looking at additional value that they might not necessarily have been expecting from me, but following up based on what's your nutrition looking like, what's your sleep looking like, what is your stress management, what are your how have you been breathing. Okay, let's take a look at that, because those are all very relevant into your overall process with me. And then I also need to start diving into the training volume. What kind of training have you been doing the past few weeks? Who's the coach that you've been working with? Have you been working with a coach? And then what is his contact information? I'd love to reach out. I'd love to chat with him to get a better idea of where you're coming from and what really happened, because that'll help us moving forward and getting the efficient outcomes that you want. Something like that. Yep.
Can I add that?
go for it.
So
yeah.
with this, and I know you guys know this, but it's important to keep this in mind, and that with the evaluation process, when you're reviewing like the plan of care phases, that you make sure for them to also understand why they need to go through this phase, is that you're pointing out some things that you saw in the evaluation process, educating them.
Oh yeah.
We're going to have, this is what I see. This is what I see your body lacking. We're going to need to address these in these different phases.
Right.
So it helps to also define why you have that process.
Right.
Just make sure people, they want to understand why you're taking them through that process. So
Right.
make sure that you.
And another thing that I think that would help with my population too is actually sitting down and maybe doing like okay, this is what I found number 1, this is what I found number 2, this is what I found number 3. So to address number 1, we're going to work on X, Y, and Z. That means you have to do this, that, and the other thing.
Sure.
Number 2, very similar. Number 3, very similar. Okay, so here's your homework.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And make sure that it's important for them
Right.
that, if their shoulder isn't acting well,
Yeah.
that you explain to them like, hey, look, here's why I took a look at your low back today. Okay? Because you're having trouble raising your arm up overhead with this particular activity, right? Well, one of the things that can limit that is your lat. Your lat attaches right here. Guess where it comes from? It comes from right here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm looking at your hip and looking at your low back, and that's why I need to do some work on your lower back and hip to help your shoulder out.
Mm-hmm.
So also explain to them, how the body works, and this
Sure.
is why we're looking here
Yeah.
to fix this here. Otherwise, if you just start doing stuff, they'll be like, dude, I told you it's my shoulder.
Right.
And it seems so simple, but in the moment you can, because I've done this, I forget to explain, here's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, and you jump ahead.
But when you
yeah.
put things, when you explain things and explain how the body's working, then they go, oh, makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So education again comes back to communication.
Mhm.
The education is so important. So make sure you're doing that process.
So what do you think you can do?
Yeah. I come at it a little differently, where they may have never even heard the word lymphedema, right? Or know what it is beyond what maybe they learned in their physician office if they were educated at all. So it's a very different process of kind of where do I put in all that education aspect to talk about the chronic nature of it or the progression of it, but not bring someone to the point of tears over what I am introducing them to, because I'm often the first person to tell them that.
Yeah.
So figuring out a way to have those communications,
Right.
and that's something I've been building for a while, but still kind of getting better at when to do that, or to ask like, how ready are you to learn about this?
Do you also have language that you use with them to let them know like, hey, you're gonna get through this? Because people are fearful of anything, even back pain. Do you give them permission, and do you explain to them like, hey, this isn't the end of your life. Your leg isn't going to be like this forever. It's going to be a journey. It's going to be some work, but you're going to get there. So make sure you do.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can probably be better at that
Yeah.
in terms of how that conversation
Yeah.
goes.
Mhm.
Whether it's the tone that I'm using and kind of matching where they're at, and then building that to a more positive place versus just coming at them cheerleader style when they're not in that point.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to. I wouldn't be cheerleader with them, because especially what they're going through, they probably
They need-
cheerleader is the last thing they want. All right. But what they do want is they want hope, and they want to hear some confidence, and you can do that without cheerleading.
Yeah, and that's the struggle I have, is saying, laying out to them the plan of care and the phases of therapy is, I'm asking a lot, and I'm asking a lot of self-care, and I'm asking a lot of time that
Mhm.
they've never put in before.
Right.
And so how to do that without losing the hope aspect.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think letting them know that, hey, you can be successful,
Yeah.
but let them know that I can help you. I'm going to help you. But a big part of your success is you being active with what I ask you to do, and that you're a big player in this. I'm the coach, but the coach doesn't put the ball in the hoop. The player puts the ball in the hoop.
And I think one thing to add to that is you laying out of phases or like that to them will give them hope,
Yeah.
because it may be like scary and make you think that, well, that's gonna make them shy away, but actually
Yeah.
helping them to see it might actually give them more hope to say, well, this woman has a perfectly laid out plan
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I definitely think I'll have to play around with the timing of that to, I think, leave room for them understanding what that all looks like and what that
Yeah.
means, or if there's a visual they need. Because again, a lot of what I'm asking them to do, they've never seen it before, they don't know what it looks like, they can't imagine it.
Got it.
In terms of compression bandages, for example, and what that looks like
Yeah.
on their leg.
Got it. One thing I'll add is, with how long this is, one main thing that you're trying to do is you're trying to address all of their questions. And then only when their questions are addressed, then are you able to ask your own questions, right? Because you should never ask your own questions until really you address their questions first. That's what's going to help to create a relationship with the patient and help them to trust you as well, is answer all of their questions. Because one more thing, another reason why people don't buy is because all their questions haven't been answered yet. And usually when you hear a response of, well, I need to talk about this with my spouse, or I need to think about this, all their questions haven't been answered, and they're gonna go to their spouse or their best friend or whatever it is, their family members, and they're gonna help ask those family members those questions to help address those questions, right? So if we can address all the questions, and so that they don't have any questions left, then we can ask some questions about, are they ready to do this thing, right?
Yeah. And if I could just step back for a second again, like you talked about, they may not want cheerleader.
Right.
I talked about giving them hope, giving them confidence. Let's you be the client, for example, for a moment, okay? And you've got a big old elephant leg, and you're missing out on everything that we talked about yesterday, or the day, or Friday. Their fears, their limitations, their challenges. Okay, so we get to the sit down phase again. All right, and I sit down with you and I tell you, Andrea, I know that these are your fears. This is what you're missing out on, and I'm with you. I understand. I've seen a lot of this, and I'm here to tell you that with this process, with the things that I can help you with, the things that you'll do, I know that you're going to get through this. I know you're going to get through it. I know it's scary, but you can do this. This isn't the end of everything. We're going to get your leg back. I've seen it, and I know we can do that for you. I didn't cheerlead. I with empathy and understanding, I just gave you hope and gave you encouragement that you're going to get through this. Right? So, does that make sense?
All right.
Nice.
You want to dive into vision? Part 2?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that. Does that help? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,